sophomore
Yes.
QBs, the draft class 2021 QBs. Why don't you lead this off? I just wanted to transition away from Eagles watch real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. We just want to talk about. It seems like at this point you got Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Mac Jones, Davis Mills. These are all the quarterbacks drafted last year in the 2021 draft, and they were all, besides Davis Mills, they're all first-round picks. The only one not playing right now is Trey Lance because he's injured. The rest of them are all starting for their collective teams. And we just had some general questions about, who's the worst, who's the best, or I don't know, Jack. Do you have anything specific you want to talk about these sophomore year quarterbacks?
I mean, for one thing, at this point in this season, I don't think any of them looking all that good. I know we're going to talk about I know we're going to talk more on that. I don't think any of them are looking all that good. Right? I think Justin Fields the past couple of weeks has definitely been showing some signs, showing some signs of life against the Patriots. They did very well, winning the game as well against the Cowboys, even though they lost a lot. That wasn't the Bears' offense letting them down. The Bears scored more points. Like they've scored the most points against the giant Cowboys defense of any team so far. More than the Bucks, more than the Giants, more than the Bengals, so on. So the past 2 weeks, he's been looking very good. Mac Jones has not been looking super great. He's looked. I don't know. That's a conversation we've had a lot before. We'll have it again. But average, right? Average to bad. Trevor Lawrence, there was 1 or 2 games earlier in the season, but again, not looking very good. Zach Wilson looked terrible against the Patriots. You put almost any other quarterback on that Jets team, they probably win against the Patriots. You put Mac Jones onto that Jets team, they probably win against the Patriots. Trey Lance is not playing because the 49ers gave up 3 first-round picks for him. Not because, but just an unfortunate side note. There is still time for him to play, but I know we've talked about this. It sucks for his development because he was the sort of guy they drafted off of raw talent, of raw potential, and who needs game. He needs snaps, and you don't play him the first season. Second season, he gets hurt week 2. I think it was week 2. Suboptimal. That's looking like a poor development arc. Who's left? Davis Mills. Well, the Texans have been absolutely terrible, so I'm going to assume he hasn't played super well, but I have not watched the games or anything, so can't speak to that.
It's really shocking how we haven't so far this season seen a sophomore step really at all from these QBs, and I think we're seeing, if I had to take a couple of these guys, I don't think at this point I'm comfortable saying any of these would be my franchise guy, but I do think that Justin Fields and Mac Jones have looked better in their entire time. Justin Fields looked really, really bad last year, but I think he might be looking the best so far this year. Mac Jones looked the best last year, and now he seems to be. And I think
taking a step back. Yeah,
he's taking a step back because I think they're finally letting him kind of open up the offense a lot more, and so he's making a lot more of his first year mistakes in his second year.
Exactly. Yeah, he's now he's being allowed to actually make decisions and stuff. They're relying on him more. That's one thing last season. I haven't really talked about our thoughts from last season. One thing I feel like I had said to you, because we were watching some of those games together, where there are times where they should not try to kick this 62-yard field goal against the Bucks. They should try to at least get this for it's third down. You've got a timeout. Try to get better field, so on and so forth. And there are other games too where they just did not give him chances to make mistakes a lot of times. So I think that's an interesting point, that some of those first year mistakes he was kind of protected from. He was kind of shielded like a baby, and then
and
now
you're seeing. It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me, like you said. The Trey Lance pick never made a ton of sense. Them trading up to get him when they probably could have gotten him later, but there was some complicating things going on there. Zach Wilson has looked really bad pretty much, period. Trevor Lawrence, they've basically said, Trevor Lawrence, you do it all. We're going to put it all on your back, and we're also going to give you a coach that is going to kick players while they're stretching. And so you say to yourself, we're going to give Trevor Lawrence a pass, but we're also he also had those opportunities to make mistakes and learn from them. And you're seeing him in London against the Broncos, just throw some terrible picks, essentially icing the game for
that game against the Eagles where he fumbled like 4 or 5 times. Like looking like vintage Danny Dimes out there. I know
it was on the NFL Reddit, so I had to really kind of look into it. But they had this meme that was like Trevor Lawrence and his like first year and a half stats, and then Gardner Minshew and his first year and a half stats, and a lot of the stats were pretty identical, and some of them Gardner Minshew had like a higher passer rating, and he had a way better TD to int ratio. Like Trevor Lawrence is like close to 1-to-1, and Gardner Minshew was over 2-to-1, close to 3-to-1, and they played the same amount of games at this point in Trevor Lawrence's career. Gardner Minshew was a 6th round pick, and they moved off of him when he played pretty darn good. And this is what I hate, because you look at all these these sophomore year QBs, they are going to play out. Most likely, they are going to play out most of their rookie contracts between all of them. Maybe not Davis Mills, maybe not Trey Lance, depending on how the injury works out. But Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, and they could be bad. They could be really bad now, whether it's them, whether it's Zach Wilson's on the Jets, okay, whatever. But, they're going to play out their contracts. They're going to get at least 4 years. And then, even if they're bad, someone's going to trade for him. Someone's going to say, you know what, Zach Wilson, he was bad because he was on the Jets.
Give him a chance.
He's a first-round pick.
It's like Drew Brees. Trade him to the Saints.
Exactly, just like Drew Brees. Boom. But you look at this, Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold showed you really nothing with the New York Jets, and then went and showed you absolutely nothing with the Panthers. Carson Wentz is the exact same thing.
He had an almost MVP season, but at the same time, then Nick Foles comes in, carries him through the playoffs, wins a Super Bowl MVP. Right? I think he did.
Right.
Like in the same team, which slightly discredits. I mean, I think it's also credit to Nick Foles because he played right. Like it's not like he was looking like a chump. It's not like he was looking like Peyton Manning on that Broncos team. It's not like that, but at the same time, it's that team was obviously a Super Bowl caliber team if you can put in the backup and win the Super Bowl, right? How many teams can you say that about?
You just wonder, the Jags, they felt like they needed to move off Minshew because they had Trevor Lawrence coming in the door, but now Minshew is sitting as the Eagles' backup QB. Think about how stacked the Eagles are,
dude. The Eagles value backup quarterbacks, and for good reason, right? It was good reason before when they did it and it worked, and now you definitely don't trade Gardner Minshew if you're the Eagles. As long as he he'll play, as long as he's not going to sit out. Which why would he?
I just think it's crazy because Minshew, if Minshew was a first round pick, they would have never went after Trevor Lawrence.
True. They would have traded back. They would have gotten a ton of first round picks for it, right? Because Trevor Lawrence was we talked about this, was the second coming, of Christ.
Yes.
Right. like you could have and in that draft, in that year, you could have gotten 5 first round picks from the 49ers.
Right.
Whew.
Anyone would have wanted to move up.
So many teams picked quarterbacks.
The third, the fourth, whatever. Yeah. And so it just, to me, it's crazy because Gardner Minshew's a 6th round pick, and now he's a backup. Geno Smith, he's basically a career backup, and now he comes in, and there is no denying that he is playing he's one of the best QBs in the league. Yeah. Period. You want to look at statistically, you want to look at just watching the games, you want to look at the record. They're leading their division. Yeah. And he's dropping dimes on the field, and he statistically is top 3 in the league.
Yeah, and watching that game, the Seahawks Giants game, he was throwing dimes that were then getting dropped too. He's statistically looking so great.
Yeah.
And that game, there were 2 there was a drop touchdown pass. There were multiple drop passes. There was Lockett dropped a big one. There was a DK Metcalf pass where it, wouldn't have been an easy catch, but was 100% a catchable ball. And I remember, and that was gonna be I remember it because it was a 25-yard pass or something. He was throwing bullets there, and even the bullets were it would someone's just stat sheet wise. It's not
His stats
it's
could
not,
be better.
yeah, his stats could be even better. That's what I mean. It's not like I'm not trying to talk poorly about the Seahawks receiving core or anything. I mean it in the sense of Geno Smith's stats could be even better than they are, and it's already looking so good. So, yeah,
right. It really is. It's funny
which is
because
interesting.
Just we're gonna see this. Maybe we're gonna spend probably a lot of time talking about this for years because they're not, the Jags are not going to move off of Trevor Lawrence. Like he could play bad for the next two more years. They're not going to move off of him. He's supposed to be generationally talented. That's the problem. He's supposed to be generationally talented, but what if he isn't? And I'm not saying he isn't. I'm just saying I've seen it right now, and it doesn't look too hot. So I don't know. That's just me. We knew when I'm not a big Justin Herbert guy, but we knew when we saw Justin Herbert play.
You look at him play, even when they're not making the playoffs, even when this, that, and the other thing, you can still
he's
look
good.
and say, and know he's good.